Okay, I'd like to call to order the Urban Design Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 10th, 2010. We'll begin with the roll call.
Mark Kimmerer. Douglas Gasek.
Here.
Patrick Coleman. James Dougherty.
Here.
Jim Sawhill. Andrew Garcia.
Here.
Patricia Joyner. Here. Jeff Dinwiddie. Thomas Tiber.
Here. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the meeting on Wednesday, September 9th, 2009. A motion to approve.
I'd like to pull one of the cases. Not yet.
Not time for that quite yet. So we're looking for a second. Commissioner Joyner moved to approve the minutes.
I think I'm the only person who was at that meeting who's here.
That's
Right.
tricky. I wasn't here either.
And only two of us are still on the commission, actually. So
I'm not sure how that works. Maybe we could get some advice.
Sharon.
Because I can't.
Through the chair, we don't have a clear-cut answer. Approving the minutes as they're written wouldn't be a problem. Making changes to the minutes with only two members that participated in that hearing maybe with only one may be problematic because there would be there wouldn't be other members of the commission that could accept those changes. I'm not saying one way or the other. We've never run into this, I think, with minutes.
Jill, do you see anything? If not, we can postpone it till next month.
I'm not seeing anything immediately.
It may be the best course is just to postpone it until next month when we have a fuller board.
Let's do that. I don't see any downside to waiting on that.
Right.
And then we can get some advice in the time intervening. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do any of the commissioners wish to pull any of the cases on the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull D2A.
Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over disclosures. Do any of the commissioners have anything to disclose in the way of conflicts? I guess we let the record reflect that we've been joined by Commissioner Dinwiddie. What was your conflict?
I think I have on the agenda, well, I know the UAA project, UAA Health Center. Now it is. There we go. Okay, on the UAA Health Science Center, one of the firms I own, it has a contract with Cornerstone to install the landscaping. So obviously I won't have any comments as to or vote either way. So
okay. Well, I think that's a clear conflict. I guess this is another point of order in terms of the consent agenda. We have 5 commissioners. Are we able to approve? 6. But if one is out.
You still have a majority. You still have the 5.
Okay, good. Any other disclosures?
I just need to disclose, Member Tiber, I need to disclose my father had retired from UAA Facilities Planning and Construction, so I don't have an immediate conflict, but I've had a past relationship with UAA on the same agenda item.
Do you feel like you have any financial stake in the outcome?
I have no financial interest, and I don't believe there's a conflict, but I just wanted to disclose it for the record.
Okay. I don't see that we would need to rule on that. I guess a bigger question is the fact that as a new commissioner, you haven't participated in any of these cases, and what is the procedure for approving for final the cases that there was no participation on?
You would abstain.
Okay. So does that...
I wasn't here for any of these.
So do we have a full enough
Well, we have
to take action?
one abstention and not hearing it, and then one conflict of interest. So we're down to 4. We'd have to,
Do we pull the cases where there's conflicts and act on the ones where there's not?
yeah, I would say that'd be a good way to proceed.
And that gives us 5 for each of those?
Well, they both have a conflict on the UAA. Well, Jeff has a conflict on the UAA, and Tom wasn't here, so he can't vote on those or any of them. So you're down to 5 on most of them, except for the one that Jeff has a conflict on.
I wasn't here for any of the initial reviews either
Okay.
on any of these items, and I don't believe Jeff was either, since we both joined the commission at the same time.
Okay.
So, yeah, with a new commission makeup,
Yeah.
it creates a new wrinkle that I haven't really experienced
Right.
before.
We may have to postpone this as well until the next meeting.
We'll never
You have
have a-
something?
Yeah, I mean...
But we'll never have a quorum on some of these, because like the meeting at UAA, that's the one with the minutes, and Patrick and I are the only current members on the commission who are at that meeting.
Doug, you were...
No, I was gone on the night. I was there for the preliminary site plan review, I think, but not the final.
Okay.
If I might.
Okay, so Jeff, Joanne, and Patricia, and, yeah, that's true.
I wasn't there for UAA.
Okay, go ahead, Jill.
For, not tonight, but in general, if we've got a short board and we've got stuff that people weren't present for, the members weren't present for, we can have the
Then review the tape?
commissioners to review the case
Yeah.
on Granicus, and listen. You don't have to listen to the whole thing, just the ones we're going to be acting on. In the meantime, for tonight, if we have 6 present at the meeting and there were 2 conflicts of interest, the new full membership, how does that go?
Or one absent and one conflict of interest.
Would require, we've got 6 members present, and even if there were 2 conflicts of interest, it would require a majority vote minimum of 4, other than which is different than the short board 5. It's confusing, but it's written down here.
So we could go ahead and vote on Spenard, or you guys could go ahead and vote on the Spenard Road case? And the police department, do we have 4 for those 2 cases?
So in that event, we pull everything except those 2 cases and then act on those as consent
Right, and
agenda
then
items.
Postpone the UAA case, and then some of you will have to volunteer to go and read through who weren't present for that case. Is that James and Doug? If you could listen to those tapes, and Jill can explain how to do that, and then maybe we'll postpone that and hear it next month.
But everybody would be in that same situation. Everybody could listen to that.
Well, Patricia doesn't need to. Mark has a conflict. Well, yes, Tom could, Tom could do that, and Andrew could do it as well. Yeah, and then we would have the number that we'd need. Jeff could do it also. Oh, Jeff has
Jeff's
a conflict.
conflicted.
No, he doesn't have a conflict on. Oh, he does,
The
yeah.
UAA.
One, well, Sahil could as well. So we could get to the 5.
Okay, so for preparation for next meeting, we'll put that on the agenda as to review the cases on Granicus.
Right, and Jill can send an email reminder out to everybody explaining what happened and how to access it for those that aren't here tonight.
Okay?
But there's no problem going ahead with the Spenard Road and the Anchorage Police Department? Am I correct?
Okay. So formally, we're going to poll Walmart.
Okay.
We're going to poll 72nd. And we're going to pull the 88th Avenue.
Well, a few people that are here participated in it, the preliminary.
And we're going to pull the UAA Health Sciences.
There's something,
No, just so that they can vote on it.
vote on it.
Yeah.
Correct? And so what remains on the consent agenda is the resolution for Spenard Road.
And the Police Department expansion.
And the resolution on the police department expansion. So it's just 2 items that were resolutions for approval on actions that we've previously taken action on. Okay. So I'd have a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved by Commissioner Gassick, seconded by Commissioner Joyner. Any opposition to approving those 2 cases? Hearing and seeing none, they pass. Now, do we have to, sort of asking questions here, do we handle each of these cases separately for a motion to postpone?
Or are we going to postpone all of them, or Francis needs to talk about the 72nd Avenue case, but the other 3, you could do a motion for approval or postponement, sorry.
Minutes are included in the 72nd and 88th cases. They're in the packets. So if people are hearing about these, people that are on the commission that were not involved in reviewing the concept or preliminary, that shouldn't be an issue. You can still approve it tonight. It's fine if it's pulled and then discussed and approved, because those minutes are included in the packet. You're looking at the final. Shouldn't be a problem. But you're correct that it seems to me that the minutes under subsection B that Patricia pointed out cannot be approved at this point until, I guess we'll just have to postpone it. You've already done that, I believe. And that the UAA Health Center, that resolution couldn't be approved tonight either, because there's not enough people here that have acted on that case in order to approve it. But all the other cases can be approved tonight.
I'm trying to generally come up to speed. So we pulled Walmart, and that was mainly because there's some questions on the case. So why don't we handle 2009-008, the landscape review for the public roadway for the Walmart case, for discussion?
Can I ask a question first, or make a comment? This shouldn't be a surprise, and I'd appreciate if maybe staff could look at the agendas before the next meeting, not have people come when we obviously can't take action. I mean, there's only two people on the commission who are still on the commission who were at that meeting, and we knew that one wouldn't be here tonight, and I think it's a shame to have us come and sit down at the meeting and then have to go through this as part of the meeting when it should be obvious ahead of time. Thanks.
Thank you. What were your questions on the Walmart case?
I'm mildly concerned about the traffic issues that might result at the Creekside Center Drive and Muldoon Road. I guess I can make it a staff question if no one's here from Walmart to order the design for Walmart.
We have a petitioner's representative in the audience.
Okay. I guess, can I request that you come up so I can ask you some questions? I'm sorry, I guess the mic is turning the wrong way. Hi, I'm Andrew Gardner.
Good evening, Michael Spackman with USKHLDN.
Okay. And the question I had was, Muldoon is a fairly busy roadway these days, and I know at that light at 12, right by the Fred Meyers, it gets extremely congested, especially with traffic leaving the Fred Meyers gas station and the store itself. And I'm just concerned that with the amount of traffic and population that Walmart attracts, that there's a major potential accident zone right there at the Creekside, which is basically at 11th and Muldoon. So you're only about 150 yards north of that major intersection. And I've seen people turn off of 11th because I live on the east side, and that's just an accident zone constantly. And I was wondering what precautions are being taken to prevent that type of potential there, especially with the additional amount of traffic that's been caused due to the development that's taken place on the north side of the highway. I know Walmart draws a huge crowd, and the current exit from the highway onto Muldoon right now backs up 150 yards into traffic between 5 and 6. So are there any plans to deal with all this additional traffic that's being created by this project?
Well, unfortunately, I'm a landscape architect and not the civil engineer, so I don't feel that I'm qualified to answer that specifically. Traffic, there have been analyses done of that, and unfortunately, we thought it was going to be on the consent agenda, so I was just here to answer basic questions. So I'm not prepared to answer that at this moment. So.
I'd read the packet, and I didn't see any minutes from the old agenda that discussed traffic. I've just seen some department recommendations from a preliminary, and so I just had concerns about.
Yeah, I think this is one of those tricky cases where, on the consent agenda, I think we're expecting to, when the case comes in front of us for preliminary approval, there's time for the designers to take into account the different concerns that are voiced by the commission. Final approval, I think we want to limit that to making sure that the final design meets with the requirements that we placed on them in the earlier conditions. There's really it's not reasonable to expect the petitioner is going to redesign the project after it's finished.
Oh, I know, and I wasn't looking for a redesign. Obviously, I'm just asking. The project itself takes up several acres of land, and I'm not necessarily concerned with the bar entrance or the Creekside Road or the ability to move snow and sidewalks or landscaping. I'm just concerned with this one particular intersection. And I can't even see how someone could turn out of here going right or left if there's a red light at 12 for multiple hours of the day.
Just for my clarification, are you speaking of the new intersection with 10th Avenue? What would be the extension of Creekside Drive around?
I'm looking at the, well,
It's at 11th, and there would be a potential traffic queuing problem with the intersection at 12th.
yeah.
Well, there's a signal light now where Creekside Drive comes out onto Muldoon. I mean, that's in the proposal.
Well, this one's showing the Creekside Drive coming out on Muldoon, directly across the street from 11th Court, which on the northeast corner, there's a auto shop, and on the, that's the intersection I'm concerned about.
Okay, that's proposed to be a signalized intersection.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that on the drawings, showing a signal light there.
Yeah, it's,
Missed that.
for the most part, the drawings that we submit to the commission are, most of the utilities are screened back because it's mostly related with pedestrian facilities and landscaping. So if you look, there's a lot of utilities and layers in those drawings that are screened back, so.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
That was basically my only question and area of concern was that intersection. So that's been addressed in their design and just not included in the...
Yeah, and you can see on L102, you can see the traffic signal poles.
Yeah, if you look on the civil drawings, I think that it's a little bit more apparent.
Through the chair, Mr. Garza, this project was before the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they approved it for site plan, and that included all the impacts, all the traffic impacts. The traffic department has also reviewed this and approved it.
Okay.
So just to give you a history on the background of the approvals that it's already been through.
That's fine. Cool, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Good then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion on the case. There's no further discussion. Mr. Garcia?
Motion to approve.
Okay, the motion's been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? We don't wish to discuss the motion.
Oh, I guess my discussion is if planning and zoning and everyone else has approved the design and appears fine, it complies with the Anchorage Bowl Comprehensive Plan, and I see no reasons to prevent this project from moving forward at this time.
Thank you. Any opposition to the motion? Hearing and seeing none, it passes. And I've got to kind of keep things sorted out in my mind. We pulled 3, let's see, trying to get back to the resolutions that we pulled that we couldn't take action on, that now we want to take action on to move to postpone. And I think, Sharon, we can just handle them all as a group. Would you agree?
All right. Francis has that one correction to make to the 72nd Avenue. And that, to make this cleaner, the commission should probably just pull that one, and he can make a statement, and then you all vote.
Okay, well, we've pulled them all at this point, and so we'll just, yeah, okay. So let's talk about 2009-064, the final landscape plan review for 76th Avenue.
Mr. Chair and members of the commission, there's an error in the staff report on page 2 that states that there'll be a sidewalk on both sides of 72nd Avenue. That's not correct. The plans show there'll be a sidewalk only on one side, the south side of the street. The reason for that is because this is just a local road. It's not a collector street. It's just a local road and not requiring a sidewalk. There's only room for a sidewalk on one side because the limited right-of-way, people's houses are built very close to the street, their yards are there, their driveways are there. To acquire more right-of-way and put a sidewalk closer to people's homes is not really an option in this case. And so, anyway, just wanted to point out the error in the staff report.
But the design is correct as shown.
Correct.
And there's no conditions that relate to the sidewalks. It's just error in the text of the staff report.
That's correct.
So if we were to take action to approve it, the design is correct and meets with staff's approval.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So can we have a motion to approve? Commissioner Gassick?
Yeah, I move to approve UDC case number 2009-064, final public facility preliminary site plan and landscape plan review for 72nd Avenue reconstruction.
I see that's been seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any discussion?
Yeah, this project seems to meet all the recommendations that we put forth previously and seems to comply with the Anchorage Comprehensive Plan, so I fully support it.
Any objection to passing the motion? Hearing and seeing none, it passes.
So, Mr. Chair, I think at this point, the Commission could, someone could tender a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item D1B, which is the resolution for a UAA, which will be postponed to the next month's meeting. Am I correct?
We've already approved the consent agenda. We just have pulled everything except
Those cases.
those cases, and now we're sort of acting on everything that's been pulled, which includes the UAA project. Let's see, what was the start of the police department?
The police department, can you pull
For action at a later meeting.
this is going to be postponed?
Okay. Okay, what we determined in the special order of business was that we weren't going to be able to take action on, 3 of these cases. And so they would all require a motion for postponement. And that was the UAA one, the police department one. What was the third one?
Postponed for next month is the D1B.
In the minutes.
They're not on the consent agenda. Is there anything other than that?
You pulled and discussed postponement for, and you pulled them, UAA resolution, that was D1B. You also they also pulled the resolution D1C on the police department. And then pulled under D2C 88th Avenue. So your option is either to postpone all of those or act on one of them and postpone.
Do we have to move to postpone on each one of those individually, or can we have a single motion to postpone all 3 of those cases?
You can have a single motion as long as everybody's in agreement that it's postponed. That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, does the Commission intend to act on the 88th Avenue?
I don't believe we had the commissioners that it's the same situation where we don't have the people present for a full board.
Mr. Chair, the final plans, staff report, and the minutes are all there. The only thing that would prevent someone from acting on, a commissioner from voting on this case would be if they had a conflict of interest, and we have none. It's fine. all here.
Okay. Let's then entertain a motion for D1B and D1C to postpone for next month. Commissioner Joyner? So moved and second by Commissioner Gassick. Any opposition? Hearing seeing none, those cases will be delayed. And so then, we can take action. According to staff, we can take action on the 88th Avenue case. So I'm looking for a motion to approve. So moved by Commissioner Garcia and seconded by Commissioner Gassick. Any opposition to passing? Hearing and seeing none, that passes. Sorry for the confusion. All cases that were previously on the consent agenda? Okay. All right, well, that takes care of all the cases that were previously on the consent agenda and now been acted on. Item E, there doesn't seem to be unfinished business or regular agenda. So we'll be looking for reports from staff. Anything for the commission?
Yes, there are a few items I wanted to go over. One is next month, you'll be voting for chair. Since we just had election of vice chair last month, we won't need to do that. So just to let you all know that that'll be on next month's agenda.
Sharon?
Yes.
The code specifically states that you have to have an annual election in March for both the chair and the vice chair.
Even though we've just elected one last month.
Unfortunately, the code says March. So I'm not sure. I would say you would have to do it again.
I'll check on that
in order to
tomorrow.
Okay.
So for my clarification, we're attempting to, with the UAA case, for example, we're attempting to have enough new commissioners briefed on the case that was heard two or 3 months ago, so that they can take action on finalizing the, what would you call it?
On that resolution.
The resolution.
Right.
So even though the case is passed, it's just the resolution documenting that it's passed.
Right. That there's enough commissioners to agree that what's said in that resolution is true and accurate.
And the only way that we can do that is to
review
go back and review what was conducted at the meeting.
That's right.
Okay. Now, what's the situation in the minutes?
The minutes we postponed until next month. And that's the same case, the same situation.
So by listening to the recorded meeting, you would then be able to take action on the minutes?
Correct.
Okay. And the same would be true for the police station?
Yes. So
Okay.
Jill will send those links to you tomorrow morning.
Anything else?
Yes, there were something else. You all know that the municipality is under fiscal constraints at this time, and one thing that they have, that the Assembly voted on last Tuesday, was to eliminate the compensation that boards and commissioners receive, the stipends. those have gone away as of the voting last week. So they voted to eliminate those. So sorry to break it to you, to those of you who are getting the stipend. Some of you had, decided to waive receipt of those stipends, but for the rest of you that were receiving those are no more. And
We're
then,
only in this for the money.
yeah, and we don't even have food anymore, so, you're just here for the public service. And then one other thing, but again, we're short tonight, and this will probably be postponed until next month, was just a follow-up and discussion on the porta potty issues in parks. But as a lot of people aren't here tonight, I'm assuming we'll just talk about that next month.
Yeah, and I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. I've been pulling information. I did receive information from Mark and Doug, and all of the cost information from the Muni. So really the ball's in my court. I think I've got all the information to sort of make a case. I'm just kind of stumbling over whether I should put together a PowerPoint, because so much of what I want to get across is visual. So I'm hoping to do that as a format that can be shared as opposed to a letter.
It might be a good idea to put it in PowerPoint, and then you could give it to, her name leaves me now, the representative from Parks Department who's been here, and she could show it among, park staff, and she might even take it to the Parks and Rec Commission to present it to them. So if you did have a PowerPoint, I think it would be really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of, when I started trying to deal with the words, it wasn't as striking, because much of what I wanted to get across was what is available off the shelf and cost, and it's really image intensive, so we'll try to go that route. And perhaps I can have a PDF or PowerPoint of that ready for review by the commissioners when the next packet comes out.
Okay. That's all that I had.
Anybody else have anything? Yes.
I had a comment and then a question. I know the city's trying to cut back, but if they could allocate enough resources to do things like the minutes where it's not so long, it doesn't cause problems like this. 5 months is a long time to remember what goes on, and then if you have a turnover, there's no one. So if it was within a few months like it used to be, then there would be more people that wouldn't have to go back and look at it. And the other was we had asked for clarification on the 1% for arts policy is regarding the university.
Oh, yeah.
Because that, as people who read the minutes could see, that was very confusing. And
I meant to
before
bring
it comes up again, we don't want to have to go through that again.
Right, and I believe they are working on that right now. Jocelyn Young is working on that with also somebody from the mayor's office whose responsibility is outreach to other agencies and entities in the municipality. And I have emailed Jocelyn twice on the subject, and she's had 2 long absences from the city, and she's been gone quite a lot, but she says that they are working on it. But I also wanted to update you all that I received a letter from Mr. Terlides from UAA, and in terms of the health sciences building, the case that started all of this, where we were beginning to question why they weren't participating in the 1% for art, and he sent a letter and has said that they will allocate 1% for art for that building. It comes to $300,000. It's a $3.1 million building budget. And then I think Jocelyn and the other one of the mayor's assistants is following up to perhaps get something in writing, or that's what I'm hoping, that would clarify this policy. But Jocelyn's last message was pretty much she'll let me know when something's happened, because I kind of keep bugging her about it. So I think she's at some point working on it, or sort of working on it, or it's this woman named Stacy, one of the mayor's assistants, who's she may be pursuing it also, but I don't know. But at least for the health sciences building, Mr. Terlides did say that they will comply with the 1% for art. So that, it says to me that, they've looked at it and, have realized that they need to comply with the policy. But again, it would be good to have something in writing that, from them, clarifying how this is going to work for all future UAA projects.
I spoke with Jocelyn last week, and she kind of gave me the sense that whole letter and that issue has been kind of punted back and forth, and no one really wants to deal with it.
Yeah, and I
I'm going
guess...
to see if I can get in to talk to Greg Jones, because he's been recommending people who are supposed to be liaisons, but say, no, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'll see if I can talk to him about it, because I just get the feeling that it's just sitting there and no...
Right, and nobody wants to deal with it, and that's what Jocelyn was kind of saying to me, that, I'll let you know when something happens, but it seems nobody wants to take the bull by the horns and actually deal with it. But yeah, James, if you could talk to Greg, that'd be great.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. Any objections? No? Okay. What,